I'm Jim on deck, and welcome to Naval Air Station Memphis, located at Millington, Tennessee. I'm here with Chuck Shoemaker on behalf of the Prairie Aviation Museum to disassemble an A-7 Corsair which the Navy has offered to our museum for a static display. We will be assisting 4 members of the Black River Technical College remove the wing and prepare this aircraft for transportation to Bloomington, Illinois. Retired Chief Petty Officer of the U.S. Navy, Mr. C.R. Reedy, has had much experience with these aircraft and explains more about this Naval Air Technical Training Center.
Hello, I'm C.R. Reedy. I'm from Nat Center Equipment Maintenance. We maintain the school's equipment at Naval Air Station, Millington, Tennessee. One of the largest inland naval air stations in the world, where we train all the recruits that come out and going into aviation. Now we have A7s, which you see behind me, and we have about 5 of those that the training takes place is that the recruits get to turn the aircraft. They actually get in the cockpit and perform the task of turning up the aircraft, and they get hands-on training so that we can have a maintained, uptight United States Navy. In order to disassemble an A7 for shipment, it's quite a lengthy process because you've almost got to completely disassemble the aircraft and back into almost like it was before, during it was being built. So it takes approximately 200 man-hours of hard work in order just to get the aircraft ready to disassemble. And then another 50 to 60 man-hours to get the wings lifted off and get them onto a trailer and then the fuselage. And it's quite a lengthy process. If you'll notice just behind me, there's one of the A7s back there that performed in during the Desert Storm. And it has some camels on it, and that for every camel you see, that means that there was enemy was knocked out. And up to this date, and now they're phasing out the A7Es, and they're going to the F-18s. Most of the squadrons are now flying the F-18 that had the A7Es.
to get started removing this wing as soon as the crane shows up, and the one thing this video is not able to show you is the intense heat they have here in Memphis. Today it's going to be 98 degrees and it's going to get awful hot on the top of that aircraft, so we hope to accomplish this task pretty quickly before the sun gets too terrible and head out and on our way the 500-mile trip back to Bloomington, Illinois.
Should have fallen inside and where the sun was. I'm serious. I should have died in the way the sun was. Ain't moving at all.
A Vietnam veteran makes its new home at the Aviation Museum.
It's an LTV A-7 Corsair II. Saved from the scrap pile, this Corsair was rescued by members of the Prairie Aviation Museum and transported to Bloomington Normal from the Navy Air Station in Memphis, Tennessee. During operations in Southeast Asia, the A-7s flew more than 100,000 sorties, proving that this is a subsonic aircraft that is more than capable of holding its own. This fighter has spawned the development of many variations over the years, but its basic design has endured. The Corsair is a single-seat carrier-based fighter having a maximum speed of Mach 1.8. This Corsair is on display at the 91 Air Show, but can be seen at its new home, the Prairie Aviation Museum.
Hi, I'm Commander Dave Aldrich from Naval Air Station Glenview. I'm a naval reservist now. In my previous career in the Navy, both active and in the reserves, I spent a total of 9 years flying A-7s, as what's parked behind me here. I came out to the air show today at the invitation of the folks from the Prairie State Museum, and also to support the Navy recruiting effort in the area. The A-7 is primarily what we call a ground attack aircraft, and in the Navy we used it in a carrier-based role. Ground attack mission, we do a lot of low-level flying, a lot of bombing, obviously, and then we also get into a little bit of air-to-air combat, and we do some dogfighting. For the ground attack mission, we primarily use what we call iron bombs, general-purpose bombs. The standard is 500 pounds, and we could carry up to about 20 of those at one time. Now, other weapons we carry are Shrike and HARM anti-radiation missiles. They home in on fire control radars. We could also carry laser-guided bombs, which require a laser designator either from another aircraft or on the ground. We also carried Sidewinder heat-seeking missiles that home in on other aircraft. And we also had a 20mm cannon in the nose, which we could use either against other aircraft or against ground targets. Flying the A-7 was very exciting off the ship. Jim's asked me if I ever got scared, and I can say every night landing I ever made was a scary one. Daytime carrier landings get to be routine, but nighttime in particular is a very frightening experience. And I liken it to trying to thread a needle while somebody is clanging cymbals in front of your face and somebody's standing behind you with a baseball bat, and if you miss the needle, they're going to take your head off. It's not that difficult to do, but you just have to keep your fear under control and concentrate on what you're doing. Flight characteristics of the A-7 as tactical aircraft go, it's a relatively underpowered airplane. It's not very high performance, but as a trade-off, we got very good fuel specs that gave us excellent range and good time on target capability. And when you're in a close air support mission, time on target is something that ground troops really appreciate. The aircraft itself is relatively stable, and again, there's a trade-off there. It's not as maneuverable as a lot of the fighter aircraft. But dogfighting is not our primary mission in this aircraft. It's putting bombs on target. So it's a good, stable bombing platform. Now, compared to a lot of civilian aircraft or transport-type aircraft, people would find it very squirrely and very unstable. But as tactical airplanes go, and by comparison to the A-4, which is another tactical airplane I've flown, this is a very stable aircraft, very docile flight characteristics, relatively forgiving as aircraft go. Although it did have one nasty tendency, and that was to depart controlled flight. Departure is an exciting experience. Your first clue that something's going wrong is you're flying along and the nose starts going sideways. That tells you you've made a little mistake on the controls there. And for about the next 10 to 15 seconds, you're just along for the ride while the aircraft tumbles end over end and decides what it's going to do and start flying again. But by and large, the aircraft is excellent for the mission it was designed for, which was a ground attack.
Well, hello. Welcome to our Navy A-7 light attack airplane. I'm Dave Aldrich. I had the pleasure of flying these A-7s for 9 years, 3 years in the fleet, and then 6 years in the reserves. So why don't I show you around a little bit, some few things in the cockpit. Our primary bread and butter in this aircraft was air to surface. We can go after targets at sea or on land. Being carrier based, we launch off the aircraft carrier Pretty exciting stuff. You go from 0 to 150 miles an hour in a little less than 2 seconds. Then you go out and fly the mission. This is primarily a day visual dive bomber was our forte. You pick up the target visually, go ahead and look through the bomb sight up here and right up in the front there. Go into a dive on a target, drop up, and then you go ahead and hit this button down here on the pickle. That drops your bombs, pull off, and you head back to the ship. Hopefully everything goes right. You go ahead and put your tail hook down and you grab a wire, and you're landing at 130 miles an hour now, and grab a wire and get yanked to a stop. During the course of the flight, you're sitting on an ejection seat. If you can back out there a little, get the whole thing. Here you go. Sitting on an ejection seat, there's a big rocket underneath. If you pull this handle here at the bottom, pull that handle, or there used to be a face curtain up high. You pull that, the big rocket underneath the seat fires. You come out of the airplane, the seat and the you go right through the canopy up here, and then another rocket fires, gets the seat away from you. Then a ballistic spreader pops the parachute open, and less than a second after pulling that handle, you're floating in a parachute. If you go ahead and look at the instrument panel up here, you've got the same basic instruments that any airplane has. You have a gyroscope. This one's tumbled. That's what it would look like to almost go straight up. Light gray is sky, black is ground. Over here is the standby gyro. This one is what it would look like if you were in a wings level 10-degree dive. The black part being the ground. Essentially, a gyroscope is just like a window to the outside, so you know which way's up when you're flying in a cloud or on a very dark night. Below the gyro, there's a compass for direction. You got an altimeter to show you how high you are above sea level. And because all airplanes need to have the same reference, so we all use sea level. Then you need airspeed indicator, how fast you're going. Radar altimeter, how high you are above the ground. You've got engine instruments over here. Gear and flap indicators over here. And then you got the gear handle down here. Here's the throttle. And your flap handles over here for getting the flaps up and down. Pretty much every airplane's got things like all those gauges, but some things that most airplanes don't have are up front here. All these weapon select switches, which are just a map of the airplane. Here's the switch that you select the Sidewinder switch, Sidewinder missiles that are on either side of the fuselage. And then these switches are for the 3 stations on the right wing. These 3 switches are for these stations on the left wing. That's how you pick which set of bombs you're going to drop. Let's see, what else can we tell you here? Something else we have here that every airplane doesn't have is a radar detector. You get a strobe in there that shows you where a radar is looking at you. If it's a solid strobe, it's hooked up with a missile system. If it's dots, it's hooked up to a gun system. We also have some lights up here that are what we call ladder lights. Those pattern of lights that you're looking at there and what the strobe you saw and some tones you hear in your headset, you could figure out what missile system was looking at you. Are they searching? Are they tracking? Have they locked on? Have they launched? Once they launch, now we need to know what we're doing to beat what's coming our way. But that's what was going on defensively. And let's see what else do we have in here. That's about it for the exciting tour. Over there, you got a lot of radio and navigation computers over there. Pretty much everything on the side panels you set in the position you want it, and you leave it alone. The things you really need to worry about are right here up in front of you, and that's where your focus is while you're flying. So thanks for coming by, and I hope you enjoyed the tour.
Awesome.